Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show.
Hi everybody, and welcome to our Retained Recruiter show with me, Jo Gregory, and this lovely chap here on my right is not, as many of you will realise, this is not James O'Brien. So I'd like to welcome to the show Chris O'Connell. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Jo. We've done a few of these before. It's good to be back in the seat with you, actually.
I know, and not in COVID. So it was literally the last time I think it was out of COVID. Actually, I think we were out of COVID by that point, but we were also going on like 13-mile walks in a day, and then doing sessions. And I think, do you know what? A lot has changed since then, hasn't it? You know, it's been a few years. So we're going to get onto some of that today. So thanks very much for joining us, everybody, live, and those that are watching us on the replay, which you can always grab on the LinkedIn, our iIntro LinkedIn channel, and also on YouTube. Let me big you up, Chris. So, Chris, for those who don't know, where have you been? But Chris is ex-global top biller at S3 and £25 million recruitment business owner, now turned purpose-driven NED and coach. And Chris has said is almost all business problems are people problems. It's very, very true, because people without a purpose have no centralized reason driving them to perform. So we're going to talk a bit more about that today. So obviously had a very, very successful recruitment business. After exiting that business, you've now spent the last few years coaching leaders on how to build purpose-led businesses. Services that you have, I mean, they are super extensive, but I know that you work with a lot of leaders on leadership coaching, vision, mission, values, MBOs, MBIs, exits, and then all the way down to sort of career mapping, training, coaching, all that kind of stuff as well. And we've got a lot that we are going to focus on today. But did I do a decent enough job of
very good, better than I could do, actually.
Good. So let's look at what we're going to cover today. We have got a lot, Chris, that we want to try and get through. What we need to do is to just invite you on more often rather than, once every 2 years and then try and slam everything into 30 minutes. But yes, we want to pick your brains on the highs and lows of building a successful recruitment business. I mean, you've been there and you've done that. The title is Lessons Learned. So we're gonna get some of those from you. Also what it takes to be a high performance business leader. We've got to talk about managing a diverse workforce because that's just so, current right now. And also, no show would be a show without discussing AI. I'd like to get your take on working with hundreds of businesses at the moment, doing the Recruitment Expo shows, just your read on AI and just how it's going to change the landscape in recruitment, I think. So, yeah, thanks very much, Chris. Shall we
thank you.
Get cracking?
Yes.
Okay, so the very first question that I've got for you is, tell us a little bit about the lessons that you've learned in a nutshell. The lessons you've learned running your own recruitment business and how that's kind of led you to do what you do now.
Thank you for the amazing intro. I'll give an intro myself very quickly because I haven't got much time to give some context. So yeah, as you say, ex-S3 top biller, was billing £1 million a year there. I was there for 5 years, went my way up from a resource all the way up to kind of managing teams, and absolutely loved my 5 years there. It was one of the best training grounds you can get. I think I learned the art of recruitment, how to close. So I learned a lot of the highs and lows of recruitment in that environment. I mean, to be successful in that environment isn't easy. To be a top biller, I'm very proud of that. So I learned via the School of Hard Knocks, and it was very much about cold calling and picking up the phone and closing and all that kind of stuff. So I learned a lot there, then built obviously a £25 million business, and a lot of highs there. We started out in South and Peters as business owners, and then we got to like 7 or 8 people fairly quickly, and then we hired a really, really, really good manager to run the public sector. We went from 3 million to 12 million really quickly, and we just knocked it out of the park, awards after awards after awards. But then I can go into detail maybe later on, but I had to take the private equity vehicle party that came into court. So that was a bit of a low, and I had to fight to get my business. I've been very vocal about that on LinkedIn. So Your question was the highs and lows in terms of I've had or in general.
I think just that you've had. I think the lessons that,
yeah.
particularly, I know you've got a new book coming out as well. So I think, you know, and you, like you said, you are very vocal about, you know, some of the adversity maybe that you've experienced. So it'd be great to just touch on that slightly.
Yeah. So set the business up in 2003 with a vision of building a sort of senior appointments consultancy, and got it to £25 million in 9 years, 100 people, 3 offices, 14 industry awards. People still say it today. It's one of the best. It was one of the best, if not the best, recruitment businesses of its time. And quite a number of people that used to work for have gone on to set up businesses as big or bigger, which I'm very proud of. So in that 9 years, the first 6-7 years was absolutely incredible. Award after award, growth after growth. We were doubling turnover, profits, and revenue, headcount. It was just phenomenal. And then my business partner walked in one day and said he didn't want to do it anymore. At that point, I wanted to open up in Australia and Paris and just go massive and go global. But so we had to find a private equity vehicle to buy him out. He left immediately. They bought his 50%. I stayed on as CEO with my 50%. And the first year was good. But then the second year, they really turned the screw beyond any sort of comprehension. Really. They were kind of counting the coffee granules. They were trying to oust my board, get rid of people, not invest in the business. And the business was built on culture and driving it forward. And that completely changed. I was in my office all day, you know, looking at spreadsheets. But the whole dynamic really changed. And I had to take them to court. It took me 4 years, cost me 600 grand. And then with two weeks to go before getting it to the High Court, I ran out of money, and they knew that. So I had to settle out of court for peanuts, which didn't even cover my court costs. So I essentially lost the entire business, the £25 million business, in the space of like 12 months. Lost access to my children, got divorced, had to sell my houses, was bankrupt, sleeping on mates' sofas, and tried to end my life 3 or 4 times. I've been very vocal about that. And yeah, it was one of the most horrific experiences, as you might imagine. You know, it wasn't just the money, which is a horrendous loss. It was physically, psychologically, emotionally, my well-being, my mental health, my integrity, my purpose was fucked, for want of a better term, sorry to swear. I was on the floor. So it took me a while to recover from that. And then I came onto LinkedIn about 4 years ago, started to tell my story. And I kind of blew up a little bit, to be honest. You know, I've got 75,000 followers. I get 6 or 7 million views a month. And I've been very, as you know, very open and vocal about what happened. I think that's enabled me to build a brand. My vulnerability has helped. It's not just my skills, my experiences, and I think I've certainly learned more from my losses than my successes. And I've helped over 65 recruitment businesses now build, scale, and grow. I go in there, do all the mission, vision, values, operations, branding, marketing, sales, business development, everything. But I love doing my podcast. I love doing things like this. I love talking about the openness and the vulnerability, because I was the CEO. I put my suit on and I became this kind of like stoic kind of like warrior, and kind of like, but it was a bit of a mask, a bit of an act. And I see that in the CEOs that I coach. And this is why the book I'm writing, which is out, Become the CEO of Your Life, is because I didn't do that. I learned the hard way. I thought the size and value of my business was my self-worth. And eventually I got to 10 million, 15, 20, 25, 30, and wanted more all the time. I got burnt out so many times. So I'm saying that you need to be driven, you need to be pushing, you need to have ambition, but you need to look at the logos behind me, the 6 things: the personal development, health and fitness, purpose, relationships, and wealth. It's about, I know people talk about balance and harmony, but my book talks about the lessons learned, but also how to become the CEO of your life, not just your business.
Yeah. And I think you said just then that you've learned probably more from the lows than the highs. I think that's so insightful. And actually, I think that brings an extra texture to how you can then coach businesses. I mean, we've been in this industry for probably about as long as each other. And I always think there has been a bit of a stigma attached that you have to be very stoic. You have to have all the answers to all the questions as a recruitment business owner. But actually, in actual fact, as a recruitment business owner, it can be a really lonely place, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's this constant demand, isn't there? You're dealing with people, they can change their mind on a whim at the last minute. As a CEO, you often, the brother, the mother, the sister, the counselor, the father, the leader, you have to wear many different hats to many different people. And but what worked for me was I was very, without sounding too kind of egotistical, I thought I was very motivational, very driven, and people bought that, they loved that. But in the end, I was kind of expecting people to be as good or better than me. And I was like, that was impossible because they didn't have 100% shares that I had or whatever. But what I'm saying is that what's worked for me now in the current climate, I think 10, 15 years ago, the whole kind of thing about run through a brick wall, the employer was dictating, wasn't they? They were very kind of like, expect the employee to literally work every hour God sends. I think the whole landscape's changed now. And vulnerability, empathy, accountability, being a human being as a leader are the skills, are the currency now, whereas before it was, you jump how high kind of thing,
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned just then about that the landscape has changed. Give me your sort of overview, I suppose, of what you're seeing in this sector at the moment then.
Wow, I think it's almost gone from one extreme to the other, and now people are paring it back. Like, for example, COVID, the whole work from home thing a couple of years ago, people really got into that and sort of demonizing the office. Now it's kind of like having a renaissance. The phone as well, with all this AI and all this kind of sequencing, and there's some brilliant technology out there. I think actually be careful what you wish for, because at the expo, I've been to 3 or 4 different recruitment expos, I've spoken at the expo, and there's a lot of great tech there, but I think AI, it's great. It gets you to people more quickly, but it doesn't actually build relationships. And building relationships is the cornerstone of any kind of successful recruitment consultant, recruitment business. So I think that what I'm finding is automation, sequencing, and emails are really, really good. But if every single person is doing that, the client's going to have a sea of emails, either opened or unopened. You still have to coach and train your people to convert those leads. So what's happening is we're becoming too over-reliant on it, too similar, and the differentiator is going to be the people that are doing the old school stuff, like the voice notes now, the face-to-face meetings and the cold calling. So it's about coupling that together and understanding the human nature of it. So how it's changed is that there's more tech, but that's not necessarily making us more efficient, actually, or producing better results.
Yeah,
it's still a people business, as I said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's never changed. I mean, look, over the last 15 years, they said that, job boards was going to be the death of agencies. Was going to be the internal everything. LinkedIn was going to be the death of agencies. And nothing has actually killed us off yet. We're a pretty resilient bunch. However, you then bring advanced technology and advanced AI into it. And I think you're right. Is it bringing us closer to people, which it's supposed to do, or is it actually taking us further away from people? And recruitment is still a contact sport, and I wonder if that will come full circle. So whether we will come full circle, and I don't think clients ever stopped wanting us to communicate and build relationships with us. I just think it's become transactional almost by accident.
Yeah, and I think some clients will think, oh, we don't need recruitment consultants now. We can just do it via AI, and actually that will play into our hands eventually. But I'm not anti-technology. I think, as I've said before, there are some brilliant tools out there. Clay's one. I mean, I use Fathom for my note taking. I think it's brilliant. There's brilliant market mapping stuff that's all well and good. But I've seen horrendous examples along my portfolio days of helping clients where delivery teams are qualifying candidates only by email, not even having conversations with candidates. So how can you pull a lead? How can you build relationships? And more often than not, it's not just about matching a CV to a JD. Well, it probably is at the lower end, but it's about bringing a CV to life, and it's getting control of the clients, and it's speccing in and selling and speaking to candidates and clients. And I think that it's just having the ability to know what tech you need, when to use it, but ultimately, if your team aren't sales orientated, lead focused, or building relationships, you might get to candidates and clients more quickly, but you won't be converting any of that stuff. And it's about that, isn't it? About sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna talk a little bit actually in a bit about BD, which is always a massive subject for a lot of people. Now we're coming into the new year, the new target year. I'm spending loads of my time, working with recruiters. They want to do better than they did last year, and how am I gonna do that? How do I scale up? And I think metrics, having a focus, having strategy, and everything. That's really, really important. As a business owner, if beginning of the new financial year or your new target year, what advice would you give to recruitment businesses now, around, not just around technology, but I think just around, if they want to grow their business, whatever that looks like to them? Might be headcount, but again, that's something else that we're seeing isn't necessarily the biggest indicator of growth right now. If they want to be better than they were last year, what would you sort of advise recruitment businesses, their owners, that they need to be?
One of the number one things I'm finding is the inability to map out markets properly. Consultants and agencies saying they're specialists, but they're not, and having a cohesive, sustainable, robust business development plan. So what I would do, as an example, and I teach this quite a lot, I spoke to a consultant. He was speccing out Java candidates to everybody in the USA and said, Chris, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm speccing out Java candidates to everybody, not going to be getting anywhere. And I said, what, you're speccing out Java candidates to everybody? And he went, yeah. And I said, well, put yourself in the hiring manager's shoes. I'm a hiring manager. I work in a fintech business, for example, and I take on Java people. And you're sending me Java people, so I might be interested. But if you started sending me Java people that works at 3 or 4 of my fintech competitors, I'm definitely going to be interested. So instead of being Java across the whole world, why don't you break it down into segments? Why don't you do fintech and then maybe insurance and something else? Speak to all the Java candidates that works in fintech businesses in a particular region. Immerse yourself in that market. CV strip, talk knowledgeably about the projects and the people, become a master in that. Then you drop a list of the top 30 companies from those calls, aim to get 3 to 5 managers in each of those companies. So therefore you've got 150 managers in fintech that know that take on Java. Then have a sequencing this system where you've got 6 or 7 touch points, an email, a phone call, a voice note, a LinkedIn thing. I've always found on the 6th or 7th touch point, they always come back. But it's about your introduction. It's not, oh, hi, it's Chris here from Java Recruitment Limited. We're a specialist Java consultancy. Oh, hi, it's Chris here from Java Recruitment Limited. We're a specialist Java consultancy, particularly operating in the fintech space. I've got your CV in front of me. It's exactly the sort of CV I know a few of my clients want to see. I noticed you worked at Fintech Client 1 and Fintech Client 2. We're working with Fintech Client 3 and Fintech Client 4. Tell me a bit more about what you did there. Who did you report to there? They're more likely to give the information. They think this guy's credible. My objective is to try and get you in front of some of my customers over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we're going to work in partnership. I need to know more about you as a candidate. I think you've got the credibility there. And then with your clients, you don't just go in, oh, hi, it's Chris from Java Limited or a specialist Java consultancy. It's the same pitch. It's Chris from Java Limited or a specialist Java consultancy. We're working with 3 or 4 of your fintech competitors. A great Java guy came on my books yesterday and expressed an interest to work for you specifically. I'm going to pop your CV over to you at no obligation. Tell me about your plans at the moment. And then you just build that out over a 12-week period where you've got 30 fintech managers and 30 fintech candidates, and your 30 insurance, and then you just start to play chess. And what I'm trying to say there is, it's just less is definitely more. It's working smart. And when you start to do that, when you start to get the knowledge, you get the confidence. When you get the confidence, you can pitch. And then you can start pitching things like retainers, things like exclusivity. And you'll get more comfortable because the client's more willing to go, hang on, he's just mentioned 3 of my competitors. This guy knows his stuff. He sent me a shit hot candidate. I want to work with him on exclusive. And what happens as well there is that the clients tend to say, well, actually, we're not quite looking at the moment, but this guy looks so good. I'll have a chat with him. And you're getting the roles ahead of time, as opposed to on the back end against 6 other agencies contingent. So in answer to your question, it's specialisms, it's how you position and leverage yourself with your candidates, your clients, knowing your market, and being consistent with that.
Yeah. Do you know, absolutely. And when you say it like that, so we've popped your details up on the screen here as well, Chris. So we've got, Base Mindset, that is Chris's business. Absolutely. So if any of you are really interested and keen in what you're hearing, then please do get in touch. It's not rocket science, is it? I think we always say this, and I think we sort of lose track. And you can give people all the training in the world. You can give them pitches, you can give them scripts, microscripts, all that kind of stuff. But you talk a lot about things being purpose-led. The ability to be able to get on the phone or to create that level of confidence and credibility and authenticity has to come from what you believe your purpose is, and what you think you're there to do. Do you think you're there to just send CVs to clients on demand, or do you actually believe that your purpose is to help solve problems?
That's such an insightful thing you said there, Joe, because one of the things I do when I coach, groups of people, I go around the table and say, well, tell me who you are, mate. Nine times out of 10, I'm a recruitment consultant. Really? Actually, I don't see us. I see us running a business within the business. We're a solutions provider. It's what we believe that we are. You're right. So it's positioned. Actually, we're here to solve a massive client problem, and you're qualifying candidates and clients out. If clients aren't willing to, it's not, please sir, can I have your vacancy, or please madam, can I have your CV? It's, this is who I am. This is what I've done. You convince me whether you're good enough to work with me, kind of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And there was a brilliant post on, in fact, it was Ruella Crouch.
Right. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
A brilliant post on. There was about, you don't have to work on every job. You don't have to work with every candidate. That's like having to go on a date with everybody who likes you on a dating. But that's not how it works. There's a two-way qualification process. And I think to a certain degree, and I know you agree with this, because I know you're all up for this as well. You have to step into your power as a recruiter. And you have to say, actually, I choose what I want to work on. And I mean, at we are all about the high quality consultancy, so high quality, high touch consultation with clients, being able to work with clients, educate them on, how to recruit properly. It's not just about a bum on a seat.
100%. On that point, to interrupt you there as well, it's when we're taking briefs as well. Absolutely. It's like you spend an hour on the phone, whatever, qualifying the role, but a good role isn't just a great JD. A good role is a good process.
Yeah.
So if the client isn't willing to book interview slots, or exclusive or retained, or give you, so what I tend to say is things along the lines of, if they don't go for retained necessarily, but they tend to, if you do it in the right way, right, we spent an hour on the phone, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, we've got a great understanding of the role, it's a brilliant role. What we're going to do now as part of our service level agreement, send you the JD, our understanding of it. If you want to change it, let me know. But there's going to be a schedule. When you're going to first interview, when we're going to have a CV review meeting, you map it out, and even down to when you're actually going to offer an interview and pay. If you send that back to me, we start working on it straight away. Then shut up. If they're not willing to go with that, you start to question. If they go, and then if you get that email back, and when they're going to, when they're going to do a review, we're going to do it, it's like, right, let's go on that. If they're not doing that, I don't care how great the role is. There's clients that, well, I think we get bamboozled by logos and clients and things like that. I mean, for me, a great business is a role that is a committed client.
Absolutely. It's not just the highest fee. It's not just the clients that you like the look of, or that you're friendly with. Definitely. And I wonder how much of that recruiters sort of approach this as an admin based job rather than like you said, that their own business. Okay, so here's a question for you. How is a recruitment business owner, if you've got people in your business and they're listening to this and they're thinking, actually, I need to do this, I need to make my recruiters more accountable, I need to give them the tools and the techniques to help them to know what their purpose and their modus operandi is. What could recruitment business owners be doing to build more of a culture of that
I think it's understanding what actually constitutes a good day and a good week and a good month, and it usually boils down to the archetypal things of number of CVs sent and number of interviews, but actually how many conversations, tangible conversations, are you having with your clients and candidates on a daily, weekly basis? And you might say things like, so in an ideal world, Mrs. Consultant, Miss Consultant, how many deals do you want to do a month? 4. Okay. Looking at the data of the business and we've worked out that you need to do 16 interviews to get 4 placements. You need to send, 50 CVs to get 16 interviews. And we worked out you need 200 jobs. In order to get 200 jobs, you need 800 touch points next month. In order to get 800 touch points. So, and then, so you're telling me if I do this, and this, you're going to get that. And you're kind of just mapping it out. So the purpose is to understand the metrics. Then you're not doing an autopsy after it's gone. Each week you can measure it, but I think it boils down to relationships, purpose, how many conversations that we're having, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're cutting corners, just whacking out emails all the time, what do you expect? So what do you want out of life? It's people. Ultimately, it's a sales business, and if you're not willing, ready, and able to engage properly, human to human, with your clients and candidates, you're never going to go far.
Absolutely. I love what you said then. So it comes down to relationships and purpose and measurement, basically.
Absolutely.
And I think
and holding yourself to account. I mean, the CEOs that I coach, they actually love the accountability. You think they wouldn't, but we all as CEOs think we're this, that, and the other. But they love me in terms of like, so I give them a sense of purpose. So each week they've got something to like, oh right, okay, almost like I go to the gym. I've got a PT there. I wouldn't go to the gym without a PT. If I don't go, I feel really guilty. It's kind of like I think everyone in the right context needs to be measured. And actually, because when you start measuring yourself and you start to see the results, you start to feel good about it. So
yeah, that's absolutely true. And it also breaks it down, doesn't it, into sort of bite-sized pieces. Anyone who's looking at a 200, 300, 400 grand target on their head now for the next 12 months is probably sat there going, it's the wall, isn't it? The target wall. Once you've broken it down, it is literally just a number of reps on a number of different machines, a number of different times a week, and just kind of build up to it. And I love what you said there about sort of individualizing metrics and things, because we are working with very diverse workforces nowadays, aren't we? So just talk a little bit about what you're seeing in businesses around kind of diversity and how as business owners we need to be, aware of that.
I think it's really important. One of my close friends is Jo Major. You might know her. She's
I do. We love Jo.
E&I champion. She's a legend, and kudos to her. I think you and I have been in the industry over 50 years combined. So I think this DE&I thing has only been sort of in the prominence in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Back in our day, it wasn't even there. It's a very male-dominated industry. It still is to an extent, but I think that back in the day, it was very much you have to have this, and this. And what happened was you created a team of mini-me's, which was good to an extent, but then you can only go to a certain level in terms of like knowledge, viewpoints, perspectives, and everything else. So for me, having a diverse workforce can make you more money. It can make you more creative. It can create more opportunities, and it's not casting the net so wide that you take on anybody and everybody, but it's having an open, curious mind around not judging people by certain biases and that kind of stuff. And some of the best billers are the quiet, introverted ones that haven't got the degree, that haven't got the massive sales background. They are just more vulnerable and human. So it's being open to all that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And big shout out to Jo Major. Anyone who's not come across it yet, go and find her, because she is she's working with all types of businesses, but specifically recruitment businesses to really help them to broaden their landscape in terms of who they're taking on, but also then educating clients as well, on diversity within the workplace. Okay, final thing. Please tell me about your book. So access.basemindset.com is where people can go to pre-order it. And I love the fact they say there's a book in everybody. Mine's okay, like the whole thing. I wrote a little bit.
I saw that. Amazing. Yeah, brilliant.
You've got a whole book, like an actual whole book. Tell me all about it.
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, and actually writing it has been one of the best therapeutic, self-helping things I've done, because you kind of like it's my story, which I've told a million times. Actually writing it down, it has more power, and it kind of like it's been a really, really interesting and self-development thing to do. It's published in June. It's on pre-sale now. You can buy it now. But as I say, it's a real detailed version of my story, the intricacies around me being abandoned as a child and having loads of adversity and being abused and loads of stuff, what happened to my business, and then the lessons I've learned from losing my business. And I'm really excited about it. I think writing a book, it opens up doors. It's not for the money. I don't think I make much money on it, but it's more kind of like, I just think it's, for me, I did the marathon last year. I did New York. I did Kilimanjaro. I don't know what you think when you wrote your book. I think it's just a great thing to do, to have on your CV, that I'm proud of, and I hope people buy it. But I think there are lots of lessons around, like finance, for example. I was a multimillionaire at 25, 26 years old, and wasted lots of money. And I learned the hard way. And it's the lessons around what I'm doing now with my money in terms of investing it properly. All that kind of stuff, and it goes deep into purpose. It goes deep into relationships. It talks about the heartbreak, how to handle heartbreak, and how to build relationships in business and in personal life as well, and health and fitness as well. So it's all about life in general.
When you wrote your book, I think it's just a great thing to do, to have on your CV that I'm proud of, and hope people buy it. But I think there are lots of lessons, like finance, for example.
Hello, what's happened there?
I'm here. It's all right. I lost you for a second, and I could hear you. I could still hear you, but I couldn't see you. We're back though. So it's out in June. People can pre-order it now. So access.basemindset.com, or I think we're going to flash it up here as if by magic. You can also go to Chris's website as well. So www.basemindset.com. I think do you know what? I think it's brilliant. I can't wait to read it. I think that the fact that you've written it is amazing. So become the CEO of your own life. Lessons learned from a £25 million recruitment business owner, and more, and still more to come. So Chris, will you come back on?
Oh, I'd love to. I love doing these things with you. I think I'll have to get you on my one as well. But of course I will. I think what you're doing. I love your product, by the way. I think it's great. But yeah, I'd love to jump on again. Absolutely.
Definitely. We will need to. We'll need to bring you back on. We need to talk client control, client qualification. We need to talk about workload prioritization, just commercial prioritization. I think would be a great thing for us to talk about. Talk about retainers and exclusivity.
Just really quickly on that. I mean, time management, task management, not just for consultants, but for business leaders as well. It's a common thing. I love to talk about that. The average CEO out there is just painting the ceiling and doing all these things. Actually, no, slow down, and getting them to zoom out and do the transformational stuff. So at any level, that whole time management, task management piece is massive.
Yes, zoom in and zoom out. I think that's really important. And also, I think having someone like you, NED board level advisory coaching, is great because it gives them that opportunity to zoom out rather than just deal with the day in, day out grind of stuff. Come out and actually think on your business rather than in it.
Totally. And it's actually, if you start doing that as the owner and the leader, everyone else will. And even recruitment consultants, they need to have one eye on the medium term of how many new contacts they're adding, not just where the next placement is. It's about building the business at all levels.
Well, I think we've just figured out what the title of the next show is going to be when we have you on. So that'd be really good. So I think good luck with the book, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on. So the book is out in June. We'd love to then get you on in kind of July towards the summer. Hot, it'll be sunny, and we can see how the book has gone. And I think to talk a bit more about the CEO playbook. I think the do's and don'ts of what to do. I think that would be phenomenal. So do find Chris. Everybody, find him on LinkedIn as well. Go and say hi. Chris you're super open to having conversations, aren't you? Just with
absolutely. I love meeting new people and seeing what I can do to help.
Yes, so do go and say hi to him. So that's it for this week. So we're back again in a fortnight. We're going to have a complete change again. So it won't be me, it won't be Chris. James O'Brien will be with us. He's on holiday this week, and then I'll be on holiday. So in 2 weeks' time, James O'Brien will be on. So we'll have another guest and we'll have another show. But for today, Chris, thank you so much.
No, thank you, Joe. An absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care, guys. We'll see you in a fortnight. Bye-bye.